Hey everyone, it's Jacqueline at Pixie Dust PhD. We are going to continue the series of looking at 7-month availability for Disney Vacation Club, just those resorts located at Walt Disney World. I'm filming this on August 20th. I think this will come out probably about a month later, so I realize that this is delayed, but I promise what I am showing you is a 7-month availability. Previously on the channel, we've already looked at 7-month availability for September of 2022, as well as early December of 2022. Now we'll be looking at March of 2023. For the 2023 points charts, the entirety of March 1st through April 1st, is contained in the second most expensive DVC travel period. 7 months from today is March 20th, so we will look for reservations from March 20th through the 26th. This is basically a week-long vacation. If you're new to the channel and find this helpful, please be sure to subscribe. You can ring that bell icon to receive notifications whenever I upload new videos. And thanks to everyone who has left a like on the video and is commenting down below. All of your interactions really help the channel find a wider audience. I know this is exactly the kind of content that I wanted before I bought my Disney Vacation Club contract. I hope peeling back this curtain is beneficial for you. And if you are new to this series, disclaimers I made in the prior videos still apply. This is only one slice in time, and availability does change hour to hour, day to day. This is not necessarily representative of 7-month availability in general. Plus, the way the DVC website displays availability will show us 7 months as well as 6 months and 8 months, so we'll get a little sneak peek into home resort availability for those not booking quite at 11 months out too. Finally, I do own a resale contract that I bought after certain restrictions were applied. I do not have the ability to see Riviera Resort availability, so that will not be in this video. And based on engagement in the past videos, we will be skipping the non-Walt Disney World DVC locations. In order to keep this video under 45 minutes long or so, we are going to breeze through these pretty quickly. Please do feel free to pause, and there are timestamps in the descriptions below. With that in mind, let's get to it. On the Disney Vacation Club booking page, again, you can see that the dates are March 20th through March 26th, and we are looking at the resorts at Walt Disney World, Sans Riviera. I have a home resort contract at Bay Lake Tower, so that comes up first. You can see Bay Lake Tower has some extensive refurbishments going on during this time. The feature pool and whirlpool spas at the Contemporary Resort will be closed, but the leisure pool and water play area at Bay Cove Pool are going to be open. There may also be some construction, but it is not supposed to happen between dusk and 9 a.m. Alright, looking at availability, it seems pretty good. 7 months in advance, you can stay in a deluxe studio with a lake view. You can stay in a deluxe studio with a theme park view, and I am not logged in right when Disney Vacation Club availability opens up, so that's pretty cool. There's the Lakeview 1-bedroom villa with pretty good availability here. Wow, actually really great availability even before that 7-month mark. The theme park view 1-bedroom villa, again with like pretty great availability for having that theme park view. Now there's the 2-bedroom lock-off villa with a lake view. A little spottier in February, but overall pretty great. A non-lock-off, so a dedicated 2-bedroom Lakeview villa. Back to the lock-off 2 bedrooms, we've got the theme park view. And here's more what I was expecting. There's a couple nights 6 months and just before 7 months, but definitely gets spottier if you aren't right on it at 7 months. But even for home resort priority, it doesn't look like people are really snagging these up in advance. Of course, it does cost a ton of points. Then the non-lock-off 2-bedroom theme park view villa. Yeah, honestly, this looks pretty good. Then we've got our Lakeview Grand Villa with 3 bedrooms, pretty dang available, as well as the theme park view 3-bedroom Grand Villa. Which again, this is probably more available than I was expecting. So Bay Lake Tower, overall, pretty available. You can see the rooms that aren't available are the cheaper rooms. They're all the standard rooms. So the deluxe studio with the standard view, basically just this one night, March 20th, but the rest is available. So if you're right on it at 7 months, it looks like you could probably do it. It's not too booked by home resort priority owners, but 6 months is pretty bad. The 1-bedroom villa with a standard view. There's this whole week in February, otherwise it is a little patchy at the 7-month mark, but if you have home resort priority, it looks pretty okay. 2-bedroom lock-off villa with a standard view. Yeah, this is pretty taken. If you want to save some points and do the standard view in a 2-bedroom at Bay Lake, I think you probably want to be right on that at 7 months or even have a home resort contract. And this is the 2-bedroom standard view. That's not a lock-off, so the dedicated. Not quite as bad as a lock-off, but yeah, you might want a home resort if you want a standard view 2-bedroom, and coming in March. Alright, next we've got Saratoga Springs. They also have quite a lot of Pardon Our Pixie Dust text here. So for this time frame, March of 2023, the Hard Rock Spring Pool and the On the Rocks Pool Bar will be closed as the pool undergoes refurbishment, but there are other pools for your enjoyment. And again, you may hear a construction noise, but they're supposedly not going to do it between dusk and 9 a.m. So here you have quite a lot available. Here is the Deluxe Studio Standard Room, extremely available. Here is your preferred deluxe studio, so just in a better location. This is also quite available. Honestly, I thought this would be slightly less available. The preferred rooms tend to be a little bit more in demand. Moving to the 1 bedroom, we've got the standard room. Completely available, 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, no worries. And the preferred room 1 bedroom villa. Wow, also totally available. So if you want to stay in a 1 bedroom and you're only planning 6 months in advance, maybe Saratoga Springs is the way to go. Your 2 bedroom lock-off standard room, almost completely available. There's only a few nights here in February that are sold out. And now the 2 bedroom villa standard room that's not a lock-off, so your dedicated 2 bedroom, 100% available. Let's just out of curiosity go back a month. Yeah, even January is almost totally available, so this is now only 5 months in advance. Preferred room for your 2 bedroom lock-off, extremely available. Preferred room for your 2 bedroom dedicated, 100% available at 6, 7, and 8 months in advance. Now we've got the Treehouse Villas, which, wow, also totally available. I'm pretty surprised about that one, honestly, because the inventory isn't massive. But I guess it is a lot of points for the size of room that you're getting. But even in January, you could go the latter half of the month. And then we've got our standard 3 bedroom grand villa, very available. And then the preferred 3 bedroom grand villa, 100% available. So if you want to stay at Saratoga Springs, you probably can as long as you're planning 6 months in advance. Even if you're planning 5 months in advance, it's probably okay. But at 7 months, almost for sure, you'll be able to book what you want. Next, we've got Kidani Village at the Animal Kingdom Villas. Here you have your standard view deluxe studio. It's very available 7 months in advance, pretty dang available 6 months in advance. Moving back into January, that's about 5 months in advance, 4.5, depending on which part of the month you're looking at. That now looks a lot less available. The Savannah View for Deluxe Studio, which if you have the points, I would suggest you get a Savannah View over the Standard View. I think it is worth the upcharge. This is pretty dang available, definitely at 7 months, even at 6 for the most part. 4.5 to 5 is a little worse, but yeah, if you can plan, 5 months in advance, you can probably snag something. You've got your Standard View 1 bedroom villa, extremely available. There's just this one night in late February, so basically 6 month mark that's taken. And your Savannah View 1 bedroom villa, pretty much the same story here as the Standard View. Moving on to the lock-off 2 bedroom villa with a Standard View. This is extremely available at 7 months and 8 months, and pretty dang available even at 6 months. And the dedicated 2 bedroom villa with the Standard View is about the same story as the lock-off. I mean, generally speaking, if you're trying to book this at 7 months, at least for March 2023, it looks like you'd be able to. Moving over then to a Savannah View for your 2 bedroom lock-off villa. This again is quite available, very similar to the Standard View. And then the dedicated 2 bedroom villa with the Savannah View. Yep, quite available, definitely at the 7 month mark. Finally, we've got the 3 bedroom grand villas with the Standard View at Kidani. At 7 months, you're totally fine, but once you're at the 6 month mark and prior to that, looking at 5 months or anything, it's much more difficult. So if you do want the 3 bedroom, you may need to plan more in advance. And then the Savannah View 3 bedroom, totally fine again at 7 months and fine if you have home resort priority. Definitely patchier if you're looking at slightly shorter term bookings in the 5.5 to 6 month time frame. But Kidani Village overall has a lot of inventory, so generally speaking, you're probably going to be able to get the room you want if you are booking 7 months in advance. All right, next up, let's look at Disney's Old Key West Resort, beginning with the Deluxe Studio. Oh, it's not 100% available in February. I thought it might be because, again, it has fairly large inventory. But at 7 months, you're totally fine. Roughly February 20th is your 6 month mark, so even 6 months looks pretty okay, definitely 6.5 months. But once you're into 5.5 or 4.5 months, it's trickier. In the Deluxe Studio near the Hospitality House, these tend to be more in demand. There's just not as big of an inventory. So at 7 months, you are pretty okay, actually, but before that, it is patchy. So if you definitely want to stay near the Hospitality House at Old Key West, I would jump right on the 7 month mark. The standard 1 bedroom villa at Old Key West is extremely available. February 23rd is sold out, but otherwise you are totally fine for February and March. Looking back into January, though, it does start to get a little patchier. And looking at the 1 bedrooms near the Hospitality House, again, it's going to be slightly less available than your standard 1 bedroom because there's less inventory usually, but honestly, this is pretty good. And for anyone unfamiliar with Old Key West, it's worth noting that the near Hospitality House points totals are the same as the standard points totals. So even though it is kind of preferred, you aren't paying the upcharge for the preferred room like you do at Saratoga Springs or other locations. Okay, next we have the 2 bedroom near the Hospitality House. Very good at 7 months, a little patchy at 6 months. Yeah, 4.5 to 5 months isn't looking great, but if you can plan 6 months in advance, you can probably snag one of these rooms. And then here we've just got the 2-bedroom lock-off villa, so your standard one, not near the hospitality house. Very available 6 months onward for the most part. And here's your dedicated 2-bedroom villa, so not a lock-off and not near the hospitality house. 100% available February, March, and April. Looking back into January, it's actually still incredibly available too. And here we've got the 2-bedroom lock-off near the hospitality house. Oh, this is actually significantly less available than many of the other 2-bedrooms, but you still are okay at the 7-month mark. But even here, looking in the 8-month for home resort priority owners, there are 2 dates sold out now, which I don't think we'd really run into at Old Key West before this. Yeah, January's 100% taken. So again, this near the hospitality house, there just isn't quite as much inventory, but you can still definitely find a 2-bedroom. And here we have the 3-bedroom Grand Villa. This is economically one of the better deals for Grand Villas, so it tends to get booked up. So yeah, you can see in February when it's under 60 points a night, a lot of those are taken. But right at the 7-month mark, you're okay. And if you have home resort priority, it definitely looks okay. Let's look back at January for fun. Pretty booked. So yeah, if you're hoping to snag a 3-bedroom Grand Villa at Old Key West, you can at the 7-month mark, but you're probably going to be really on top of it. If you definitely want to make sure you have it, this is one where I would suggest the home resort contract would make a lot of sense for you. And then the only room not available is the 3-bedroom Grand Villa near the hospitality house. So if we look at that availability, yeah, it's pretty bad. So when people are coughing up this many points, you can see they're definitely preferring the prime locations. Next up is the villas at Disney's Grand Floridian Resort. And you can see here that starting March 1st, 2022, they're undergoing refurbishment. You'll be able to see construction during daytime hours. Amenities, most resort amenities will remain available. It doesn't say when this is going to end, and I'm looking at booking in March 2023, so maybe this is quite a long construction project. I'm not really so sure. First up, we have the resort studios. So these are the studios that were converted from hotel rooms. They have the 2 queen beds. They have the limited kitchenette, but they are super available at 7 months, which is pretty cool. February's patchy for sure. And yeah, January is almost fully taken, but if you can hop on that right at 7 months, that may work out for you. Now we're moving into the standard deluxe studio. So that has the 1 queen bed and then the pull down bed, your normal kitchenette. This is like your normal studio. Totally available at 7 months for the Lakeview. I'm actually fairly surprised because this is kind of low inventory. Okay, back to the resort studio. So the hotel room style studio with the lagoon view, totally available at 7 months and even like 6.5 months. Early February is a little patchy, but you could stay 3 nights in a row and string that together with something cheaper and make a really nice split stay vacation. And again, the resort studio, so the hotel room converted studios with the theme park view, very available 6.5 months onward. Let's look back at January. Yeah, 4.5 months, like the first half of January is not looking so good. 5 months is patchy. 6 months is not terrible though if you're looking from like February 20th or so onward. There's a few nights totally taken, but looks not bad. All right, moving up in size to the 1-bedroom villa. This is your standard view. Very good availability right at 7 months, and even 5.5 months is not so bad. These Sundays and Thursdays are taken, but again, you could get 3 nights together. All right, and now moving on to the Lakeview 1-bedroom villa. Right at 7 months, it is available, but I would say this feels harder to snag than the standard view 1-bedroom villa. Next up, we've got 2-bedroom villas. So first we have the standard view 2-bedroom villa, dedicated, not a lock-off. Totally available at 7 months. And 6.5 months doesn't look bad. There is this time frame, March 12th through 16th, that's taken. I wonder if that's peak spring break for a lot of folks. February is like half and half. You're not staying for a full week here, but you can stay some nights. That's not too bad, honestly. 2-bedroom lock-off villa here with the lake view. Pretty booked. I mean, you can book it right at 7 months, but looking before that, good luck. And now the dedicated 2-bedroom villa with a lake view. Oh, this is significantly less booked than the lock-off with the lake view. That's interesting. I'm guessing that's because the dedicated 2 bedrooms only sleep up to 9 and the lock-offs sleep up to 10. So this may be a factor of party size here. But if you only need to sleep up to 9, maybe target the dedicated 2 bedrooms instead of the lock-offs. And then there are some other rooms that were not fully available for my dates. We've got the Standard View Deluxe Studio. Oh, interesting. So the dates that weren't available were March 25th and 26th, which is into home resort owner priority time. And you can see availability here is not great. I mean, there's even some sold out dates in April. Again, home resort priority owners. Now we've got the 2-bedroom lock-off villa with a standard view. So similar, I guess this is parties who need to sleep up to 10 and they want to save some points by booking the standard view. And yep, it's 25th and 26th. Maybe that book ends spring break, like maybe spring break is 20th through 24th for some and then 27th through 31st for others. So that is like a shared weekend. March is an incredibly expensive time in the DVC points chart, so that does tell me that a lot of folks are going. And we've got the Lakeview 3-bedroom grand villa. Woof, this is pretty booked. So 7 months from when I'm recording this, again, is March 20th, so you can see that through the 23rd is already booked, meaning that's all home resort owners. If you have your heart set on a 3-bedroom grand villa at Grand Floridian, you might want a home contract here. All right, next up we have Jambo House at Disney's Animal Kingdom Villas. Starting with the Standard View Deluxe Studio. At 7 months, it's totally available. It looks pretty okay at 8 months. 6.5 months, you know, the first half of March is okay, but 6 months, 5.5 months looking into February, and 4.5 months in January. There's some stretches here. I mean, this is a bunch of nights together, but inventory over on the Jambo House side is pretty small, so you'll want to be right on top of that, generally speaking. And here we've got our Savannah View Deluxe Studio now. Available at 7 months, and the home resort priority looks fine, but if you're not right on it at 7 months, you're probably not going to get a full week strung together. Moving up in villa size to 1-bedrooms, we'll start with the Standard View availability. Oh, this looks pretty good. All of March is still available. Most of February is available. More than half of January is available. And then moving to the upgraded Savannah View for 1-bedroom, also pretty available. Not quite as available, I don't think, as the Standard View, but does seem like there's a good amount of 1-bedroom inventory. Yeah, January, though, is looking rough for the Savannah View. Moving on to the 2-bedroom lock-off, starting with this Standard View. At 7 months, you're okay. 6.5 months is not bad. But once you're really at, 6 months or 5.5 months, 4 months, there's some nights. I mean, there's more nights in January than February, interestingly. But yeah, I mean, 7 months is okay. And now the 2-bedroom lock-off Savannah View. 7 months again, okay. Before that, possible, doable. If you're flexible, you can make it work. It's not a ton of inventory though. And now we've got the Savannah View 3-bedroom grand villa, totally available at 7 months. Not so bad at 6.5 months. This first chunk of March is totally open. February, there's a few dates here and there. January is pretty bad though. And what are the rooms that weren't available? So all of the value accommodations and all of the Kilimanjaro Club concierge accommodations. I am not surprised at all. I'm constantly saying if these are things you want, you probably need a home resort contract. Although this is interesting to me, apparently there's 5 of the requested nights for the value 1-bedroom villa. So look at that. Just not right at the 7-month mark, which would be March 20th. So we are now into home resort priority once you're starting at March 21st. But even, hey, like March 5th through 7th, if you can get 3 nights in a row in a value 1-bedroom, that's pretty good. Everything else is, 1 night in the studio, 1 night in the 2-bedroom, no nights for club level. Not surprised in the slightest. Yeah, studio value is pretty bad even into the home resort period. Yeah, April. Yep, 2-bedroom value, pretty bad. April again is fully home resort owners. And let's look at club concierge level. Studios, 100% sold out at 6, 7, and 8 months. More availability in 1-bedroom, but you still do need the home resort contract there for the club level at 1-bedroom. And club level 2-bedroom, totally sold out. All right, next resort, we have the BoardWalk Villas. Skyliner is going to be down for a bit in January, but again, we are looking at March. So starting here with the Garden or Pool View Deluxe Studio. This is totally available at 7 months, but looking before the 7-month mark, that's rough. Point-wise, BoardWalk is a pretty good value and it's a great location, so this can be a bit competitive at 7 months. Next up, we've got the Standard View 1-bedroom. Again, available at 7 months, less available before that, but you can get some nights. The BoardWalk View 1-bedroom villa. Available at 7 months, but patchy before that. Home resort priorities, though, looking good throughout. Now we've got our garden or pool view for 1-bedroom. This is actually quite available. I've always hypothesized that's because this costs the same amount of points as the BoardWalk view, and I think more people would rather have the BoardWalk view than the garden or pool view. So if you're gonna go for an upgraded view and you're looking for availability specifically, it's probably easier to get the garden or pool view than the BoardWalk view. Now we've got our 2-bedroom lock-off with a garden or pool view. Available at 7 months, not super available before that though. And we have our BoardWalk View 3-bedroom grand villa, which is totally available. I'm a little bit surprised about this, honestly. Overall, so far, the grand villa availability has been pretty good. Yeah, there's even still a couple nights in January. All right, and here's what only has partial availability. So you've got your standard view deluxe studio. Again, this is for people trying to save points. Very booked, even looking into April and May and most of June, most of the weeknights in June. So this is all home resort owners. And then the BoardWalk view deluxe studio. Again, if you're going to spend more points, people tend to want the BoardWalk view instead of the Gardner pool view, I think. Very, very booked. May's looking a little better than the standard view, but quite booked. Now we have our standard view 2-bedroom lock-off, super booked. February is totally gone. March only has 2 days left. April has a handful of days. May only has 2 days. Woof. So yeah, this is a really good value though for 2 bedrooms in my opinion, points-wise. I think is why it's in such high demand. And your BoardWalk view 2-bedroom lock-off, extremely booked. May and June are looking better than some of the other rooms we've looked at that are high demand, but that's rough. All right, moving on. Copper Creek Villas. I am so surprised there is availability here. I feel like every time I look at Copper Creek, it's totally sold out. Wow, yeah, look at that. Your 1-bedroom villa. If you have the points, holy moly. This is tempting. This makes me want to book it. Okay, now their 2-bedroom villa. Totally available at 7 months. Definitely less availability prior to 7 months than the 1-bedroom, but honestly, still more than I was expecting. The cabin, which of course is just a boatload of points, especially in such an expensive season, totally available. I highly suspect it's just because it costs so many points. And your 3-bedroom grand villa, also pretty available in March. February is not as much. January, there's still a few days though. You could stay January 29th through February 2nd. Wow, that's 5 days in a row. For a grand villa, 5 months in advance, that's pretty good. All right, what is not fully available? We've got the deluxe studio with the walk-in shower, but there's 3 nights available right here at 7 months, so that's not terrible. The 2-bedroom lock-off with the walk-in shower, so that's not surprising. It's gonna look basically the same as the studio availability. And your deluxe studio, this will have the bathtub instead of the walk-in shower. Not available right at 7 months at March 20th. A couple days in here, then another day that's not available. So yeah, this looks a little harder, but there's March 8th through 13th still. And yeah, just 1 day in January, so this is more in line with what I think of when I think of Copper Creek availability as good luck. And the 2-bedroom lock-off, so again, not with the walk-in shower, very similar to your deluxe studio, not with the walk-in shower availability. So availability at Copper Creek right now, at this very moment in time, is much better than I thought it would be. I still would say though, canonically, I think my advice would be get a Copper Creek home resort contract if you really want to stay here, particularly if you want to stay for more than a couple nights in a row at least. And over to the other side of Wilderness Lodge, let's look at Boulder Ridge Villas. Again, I'm really surprised that there's such good availability. Are people not going in March anymore because it's so expensive? What is happening? 7 months looks very good for the deluxe studio. You definitely want to be on it at 7 months though. And for the 1-bedroom, wow, look at that. Most of February even is available. So 6 months would be February 20th or so. 5 months, you're talking, January 20th or so. That's not bad at all. For your 2-bedroom lock-off villa, 7-month availability is good, but it looks like you definitely want to be on top of that. And then for the standard 2-bedroom villa, not a lock-off, 7 months is pretty good, 6.5 months isn't bad, but much before that, not so great. Like Copper Creek though, this is better than I expected. Next up is the Polynesian Villas and Bungalows. So you have your standard view deluxe studio. Wow, all of March is available. So again, before March 20th is within the booking range for all owners. So you're talking 6.5 months out, totally available. January and February are fairly sparse though. And for the lake view, instead of the standard view, not quite as available as the standard view, but still fairly dang available. And of course you've got your bungalow, which these are usually pretty available because they cost so many points. So yeah, all of March, all of February, 2/3 or so of January. Okay, December is quite booked. There's only 3 nights left in December. Again, I'm recording this in late August, so that's only about 4 months from now. And finally, we have the Beach Club Villa. So finally, here we go. No rooms are fully available for your selected dates. I cannot believe we got through so many resorts before we hit this warning. But let's look at the partial availability. So the 1-bedroom villa is not available exactly 7 months from now and 7 months plus 1 day. So all of this, the 22nd onward, is into home resort owner priority. So you can see there's really not much available for folks that do not have the home resort contract. That's rough. And then the 2-bedroom villa, Okay, so exactly 7 months from now, March 20th is open, but the next day is not. So again, within our availability, it's pretty rough. You could book the 18th through the 20th. That's a nice little 3-night stretch, but Beach Club is super popular. People really love it. Probably need a home resort contract here if you want to stay a bunch of nights in a row. Yeah, the deluxe studio is, wow, terrible. Terrible availability. Nothing through when we can book in February and up through March 20th. Nothing in January. Yeah, wow. And the 2-bedroom walk-off villa. Pretty bad. Very similar to the deluxe studio. Basically nothing. Yep, nothing January, February, and through March 23rd, actually, and 7 months starts on March 20th again. So that is pretty rough. Again, I hope you found this helpful. Be sure to subscribe to the channel and like the video. Share with anyone you think may be interested. Also leave links in the description down below for when we've done this previously for September and December of 2022. And I've got a whole playlist full of great information for Disney Vacation Club and other peeks behind the scenes behind that member login that you may be interested in, so check out the description. Thanks again so much for your support. I hope the rest of your day is magical, and we'll see you real soon at Pixie Dust PhD.